Do you love how stamping looks, but you don't want to use gels to top and you don't like to use nail polish to top? Then I have the solution for you. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. Today we are doing something super fun and you're going to be shocked at the results, so stay tuned. We're going to start off doing our mani first with our dip powders. That's going to be the base before we get into the stamps, and I'm going to show you this new way I tried to top coat the stamps, and you will be surprised how well it works. So the two colors that I decided to do, I wanted some like really fun, springy, a little bit Easter type mani. The thermal that's on my nails that I'm working on right now is called Mother of Pearl. It goes from like purple to pink to a peachy color, and you'll be able to see it during the application here, how it's changing colors as I apply different layers to it. So you can see it like start to get pink and go back to purple as my nails change based on like the temperature of my nails, since it is a thermal powder. And if you're someone who loves the look of an ombre but you're really struggling with ombres, grab a thermal dip powder. They are so much fun and they're going to give you that look of an ombre without having to do any of the work. When I work with a thermal, I like to make sure that I pour the powder over, and I really want to apply my dip liquids thinly. So applying your dip liquids thinly is going to help you no matter what kind of powder you're using. I apply my dip liquids thinly every single time. It's going to help your nails from being too thick and chunky. It's better to do more layers that are thin than less layers that are thick when you're doing your dip powders. Dip powders that are really thick, like when you do your layers really thick, they tend to crack and chip and lift easier. So after you do all that work, you definitely don't want your dips to pop off or chip or crack. When someone says to apply your dip liquids thinly, what that means is you don't want to be flooding your nail with a ton of the dip base. So what I like to do is I like to take my dip base brush and wipe one side of the brush on the inside of the bottle rim before I pull it out. That helps me to not get my layers so thick of the dip base. And you'll be able to tell once you start dipping your nails more, and if you try different brands, you'll know which liquids are thick, which are thinner, which are runny, which don't run. So I do not like to work with liquids that are runny. I actually would probably rather work with liquids that are thicker, just because I could get them thinner versus a liquid that's runny and too thin. Some other things when you're applying your dip base that you need to be aware of, you'll want to know how fast your dip liquids dry. So is your dip base a really fast dry? Is it a really slow dry? Or is it a medium dry time? If your dip base dries really fast, you've got to work really fast, okay? You have to work really fast to get the dip powder over your nails before the dip base starts to dry. If it's a slow dip base, then you really have to focus, slow drying dip base, then you really have to focus on applying it thinly, or it will take a long time to dry. And then you have some that are medium. My favorite dry time is medium because it like reminds me of the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You know, it's too hot, too cold, and then just right. Like medium to me is what I feel most comfortable using. So I prefer a medium dry time, and I'm okay with a fast dry, but like I actually do not like slow drying liquids. I really struggle with those just because I have the patience of probably like a 5-year-old. So if I have to wait a really long time for dip liquids to dry, I'm probably going to mess up my nails. The ones that I'm using right now are from OG Dip Powder, and they're a medium dry time. So I absolutely love the medium dry time. That's like my go-to. Any that are medium dry time, like yes, please bring those on. I totally just realized that I forgot to say what colors that I'm using. I'm using Oh Fiddlesticks. That's the sheer, like flaky, whitish, pinkish with like the blue, and it's iridescent, so you can see a ton of reflection of colors. And then I have a pink rubber base down on my natural nails, so it looks a little bit pinker than it actually is on my nails. If you wear a builder gel or rubber base down on your natural nails, they can affect the color of your dips. So when you're dipping a really opaque dip, it's not going to change it. But if you're dipping a really light dip, or one that's slightly sheer, or one that's like white and flaky like I'm using, it is going to give you a little bit more of a tint for what you have underneath. Oh my gosh, I forgot to say what the thermal is. The thermal is called Mother of Pearl. My brain is basically all over the place today. I haven't slept a lot lately. You definitely want to pour your powder into something so that you can shake the flakes up so they come up really nicely to the top, and you can lay your nail right onto the flakes that you want. Then you can shake up the powder a little bit in your dip cup liner like I'm using, or if you don't have one of those, you can use a cupcake liner. And I do the same steps for when I'm dipping glitters or foils as well. It just works really well that when you pour the powder into a dip cup or a cupcake liner, you can really see where you're laying your nail and you can get all those pieces that you want to come up to the top. Then I like to keep a piece of tape on my middle finger on my opposite hand so that I can just gently pat down the flakes or foils or glitters and I don't get any dip base or powder stuck onto my hands, which is huge because if you're somebody like me and you have really dry hands, everything sticks to them. So using the tape is like a must for me. I really never ever touch my nails anymore. Once in a while I'll forget and like touch the dip base or the powder or something, but I really try to keep it off my skin since it's so dry and I don't want to like get itchy from overexposure to products. Once you're finished with all your layers of dip, then you can go in and you can apply your clear dip powder last, apply your activator, and then buff and file and shape. I did all the buffing, filing, and shaping off camera so that you guys didn't have to watch that. Now we're jumping right into our stamping. So first you want to apply your sticky base to your nails that have been wiped with alcohol. The sticky base is going to allow the stamp to adhere to your nails. When you're doing layered stamping, you have to work pretty quickly. So each layer that you're gonna put on, you want it to still be a little bit tacky as you're rolling it onto your nail. I'm gonna do some really cute little Easter stamps and I wanted to use the grass for the bunnies to make it look like the bunnies were in the grass. So sometimes when you're doing a stamped image that's layered, the base layer is a wider design. So you have to get the polish over the image and really make sure it's over the entire image. I was scraping a little bit too hard when I was doing my layers. So I had to make sure that I put some extra stamping polish back on and scraped a little bit gentler. So first I did the grass, then I did the bunny, which is also a solid shape. And you need to make sure that you have enough stamping polish on there and you scrape gently enough that you can pick up the entire image. So once I get to the smaller pieces, like the top of the bunny, that's just like the outline of the bunny, it's easier to scrape harder and get that polish off so that I can just have like the outline of the bunny. The reason I like layered stamping so much is because you're just adding one on top of another each layer. And if your one layer picks up a little bit funky, it's okay. You can just wipe it off and try again for that layer. So that's the nice thing about stamping instead of like drawing on your nail art is if you mess it up, just don't apply it to your nails, okay? That's all you have to do. You just wipe it right off the stamp. You can have a lint roller or some masking or painter's tape and just wipe it right off the stamp. The next image that I wanted to do was I wanted to do more of the cute little grass and do a flower coming out of the grass. I honestly, I don't know, maybe this is a tulip. I don't know flowers very well, but you saw when I was doing the first layer of the grass that I did a better job not scraping off all of the polish. So when I did the first layer of grass, I scraped too hard on my ring finger, but when I did it for my middle finger, I was a lot gentler and scraped just so that enough of the polish covered the image of the grass and then didn't scrape all of it off. Now we are going to do something totally different. This was my first time trying this and I have to admit I've tried it another time since then and this method works. Okay, so once you are finished picking up all of your stamped images, they're on your nail and they've dried, you want to do a layer of a smudge-free top coat. I'm using Maniology's smudge-free top coat here. The stamping plate that I was using is from Clear Jelly Stamper, and it's called Easter 2. I'll make sure I link in the description all the colors of the polishes I used. They are a combination of Maniology and Clear Jelly Stamper polishes. So once I apply the smudge-free top coat over both of my stamped nails, I let that dry for probably about 5-10 minutes. Now, we are going to top with dip liquids only. And typically when I've done this, I've covered the stamps with clear dip powder. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to see if I could make this work to do my top coating straight over the smudge-free top coat. Now, I don't know if this would work with all dip liquids. The ones that I used are from OG Dip Powder, and it absolutely worked. So TBD, if it works with other liquids, I will continue to try and keep you guys posted. I went through and did my top coating like I normally would. I did heavy activator on all 5 nails, waited 10 seconds when I got to my pinky, and then I went back to my thumb and did the first layer of top coat in 2 to 3 quick even strokes. And I did that for each nail, and I really made sure I floated the top coat over my 2 nails that had the stamping. And I actually did the same thing when I was applying the activator. I very, very gently applied the activator. And guess what? It worked, okay? Look at that shine. So this is officially my go-to method now for a dip top coat over stamping. And if you're still struggling with stamping, make sure you check out this video where I can help you more. Thanks for joining me today, Nail Crew.